Good afternoon. Here's another little word picture of my favourite town in China. It's called Shahe. Shahe nestled like a fledgling bird into the hollow of the extinct crater of a volcano. Sharp peaks rose all around, shielding the tiny Tibetan city from the rougher elements of the great Qinghai grasslands that stretched all the way to the holy city of Lhasa. The golden dome of Labrang Temple and Monastery dominates the middle of the tiny town. Golden and white, it sparkled in the early morning sunshine. There was an autumnal crispness on the 6 a.m. air as the red and fuchsia-clad monks left their tiny whitewashed cells within their courtyard homes. Wrapping their robes securely around themselves, they drifted like the blue smoke from the early cooking fires, silently along the narrow, whitewashed lanes with open drains towards the temple for early morning prayers. The great hall where the image of the huge Buddha sat was heavy with incense and the soft chanting of monks who, seated on floor pillows, rocked to and fro as they recited the parts of the holy book, their chants rising like incense to the darkened rafters of the hall. At the open door sat the master, resplendent in his robe of saffron and red, with what looked like a golden Roman legionary's helmet on his head, and a golden rod in his hand, waiting to chastise the little monks of 6 and 7 years old, who, rubbing the sleep from their eyes, tossed off their Ugg boots amongst the pile of discarded shoes and larger Uggs outside the door, and scuttled to their places, dodging the stick of the master. Outside the great hall, an elderly couple lay face down in the dirt, their arms outstretched. In synchronization, they drew themselves up and onto their feet, muttering a prayer through old thin lips and clutching at dark wooden prayer beads. They took 3 steps forward and prostrated themselves on the dusty, dung and package-littered ground. A Coke can, its contents long consumed, rolled gently into an open ditch. A yak calf stood bawling in the middle of the street for its mother. Outside, the common people, many dressed in traditional Tibetan dresses, prostrated themselves on the ground before turning the 1,174 spinning wheels and prayer wheels on a loop around the Kora. Restaurants, coffee shops, and shops opened up, their owners blowing on their fingers to keep them warm. The scent of coffee and fried pancakes filled the air. As morning drew on, the locals started to appear, long-haired Tibetan men dressed in huge sheepskin coats fastened with red belts and baggy trousers whose ends disappeared into black sheepskin Ugg boots, swaggered down the main street. Alongside them were the women, adorned with heavy silver-studded belts and huge beads around their necks, walking proudly, carrying a baby on their backs or holding the hand of a tousled-haired little one. On the 3rd step leading up to a saddle shop, a little girl, told to guard the front of the shop, fought sleep. Her eyes closed, her head lolled forwards. She jerked awake and the whole process started again. Finally, sleep won, and she rolled gently off the step and onto the cold, hard pavement. And there she lay, a little bundle of dirty rags and matted hair, fast asleep, dreaming of a snug, warm bed and plenty to eat. I resisted the urge to pick her up and carry her off to the hotel for a good breakfast, bath and bed. Instead, I knelt and tucked a 10 RMB note into her little pocket. I hope you enjoyed that. Bless you. Have a good day.